A strong young man at a construction site was bragging that he could outdo anyone in a feat of strength. He made a special case of making fun of one of the older workmen. After several minutes, the older worker had enough.
"Why don't you put your money where your mouth is?"
said the old man.
"I will bet a week's wages that I can haul something in a wheelbarrow over to that building that you won't be able to wheel back."
"You're on, old man," the bragger replied. "Let's see you do it." The old man proceeded to reach out and grabbed the wheelbarrow by the handles. Then, nodding to the young man, he said,
"All right, get in."
A man walks into a bar and notices a very large jar on the counter, filled to the brim with $10 bills. He guesses there must be at least $10,000 in it. He approaches the bartender and asks, "What's with the money in the jar?"
"Well, you pay $10, and if you pass 3 tests, you get all the money in the jar."
The man certainly isn't going to pass this up, so he asks, "What are the 3 tests?"
"You've got to pay first," says the bartender. "Those are the rules."
So, after thinking it over a while, the man gives the bartender $10, which he stuffs into the jar.
"Okay," says the bartender, "here's what you need to do. First, you have to drink a whole quart of tequila in 60 seconds or less, and you can't make a face while doing it. Second, there's a pit bull chained in the back with a bad tooth. You have to remove that tooth with your bare hands. Third, there's a 90-year-old lady upstairs who's never slept with a man. You have to take care of that problem."
The man is stunned. "I know I already paid my $10, but I'm not an idiot. I won't do it. You'd have to be nuts to drink a quart of tequila and then do all those other things."
"Your call," says the bartender, "but your money stays where it is."
As time goes on, the man has a few more drinks and finally says, "Where's the damn tequila?" He grabs the bottle with both hands and drinks it as fast as he can. Tears streaming down both cheeks, but he does not make a face. And he drinks it in 58 seconds. Next, he staggers out the back door where he sees the pit bull chained to a pole. Soon, the people inside the bar hear loud growling, screaming, and sounds of a terrible fight. Then, nothing but silence. Just when they think that the man surely must be dead, he staggers back into the bar. His clothes are ripped to shreds and he's bleeding from bites and gashes all over his body. He drunkenly says, "Now, where's that old woman with the bad tooth?" It is October, and the Indians on a remote reservation ask their new chief if the coming winter is going to be cold or mild. Since he is a chief in a modern society, he has never been taught the old secrets from the past. When he looks at the sky, he can't tell what the winter's going to be like. Nevertheless, to be on the safe side, he tells his tribe that indeed this winter is going to be cold, and that all members of the village should collect as much firewood as they can. But, being a practical leader, after several days he gets an idea. He calls the National Weather Service and asks,
"Is the coming winter going to be cold?"
"It looks like this winter is going to be quite cold,"
the meteorologist at the Weather Service responds. So the chief goes back to his people and tells them to collect even more firewood. A week later, the chief calls the National Weather Service again.
"Does it still look like it's going to be very cold winter?"
"Yes,"
the meteorologist replies.
"it's going to be a very cold winter."
The chief again goes back to his people and orders them to collect every scrap of firewood that they can find. 2 weeks later, the chief calls the National Weather Service again.
"Are you absolutely sure that the winter is going to be very cold?"
"Absolutely,"
the man replies.
"It's looking more and more like it's going to be one of the coldest winters ever."
"How can you be so sure?"
asks the chief. The meteorologist replies,
"The Indians are collecting firewood like crazy."
An elderly couple has just settled down for bed when the old man realizes he left the lights on in the greenhouse in the backyard. Then they hear voices. 3 men have broken into the greenhouse. Frightened, they call the police. The dispatcher tells them that he will send an officer over just as soon as one becomes available, as they are all out on calls. The old man waits for a few minutes, and then calls dispatch again. He tells dispatch, "Don't worry about sending an officer. I shot the robbers, and now the dogs are eating their bodies." In no time at all, police surround the house and capture the robbers red-handed. One of the cops asks the old man,
I thought you said you shot the robber and your dogs were eating them.
The old man replies, "I thought you said there weren't any officers available." A doctor puts up a sign in front of his clinic. The sign reads, "If I can cure you, I get $20. If I can't cure you, I'll pay you $100. A lawyer decides that it's his time to shine, so he tells the doctor, "Doctor, I can't taste anything anymore. Please cure me." The doctor tells his nurse to get him some of the medicine from drawer number 25. The lawyer takes a swig, gasps, and spits it out. The lawyer says, "This tastes like gasoline,"
Taste cured. $20, please,
says the doctor. The lawyer pays and leaves, frustrated. The lawyer comes back the next day, determined to succeed. "Doctor, please cure my memory loss."
Nurse, please fetch some of the medicine from drawer number 25.
"No way!" the lawyer exclaims. "That's the same thing you gave me last time."
Memory fixed. $20, please,
says the doctor. The lawyer stomps away, displeased. The next day, the lawyer comes up with a foolproof strategy. "Doctor, I'm blind. Cure me, please,"
Oh, I'm sorry. I won't be able to cure that,
says the doctor.
Here's your $100.
He says, handing the lawyer a $5 bill. "Wait a second," shouts the lawyer. "This is 5, not 100.
Blindness cured. $20, please.
There were 3 women, a brunette, a redhead, and a blonde. They all worked together at an office. Every day they noticed that their boss left work a little early. So, one day, they met together and decided that today, when the boss left, they would all leave early too. The boss left, and so did they. The brunette went home and straight to bed so she could get an early start the next morning. The redhead went home to get in a quick workout before her dinner date. The blonde went home and walked into the bedroom. She opened the door slowly and saw her husband in bed with her boss. So she shut the door and left. The next day, the brunette and the redhead are talking about going home early again. They ask the blonde if she wants to leave early again.
"No,"
she says.
"Yesterday I nearly got caught."
After a long, tiring day, a young lady settles down in her train seat and closes her eyes. As the train rolls out of the station, the guy sitting next to her pulls out his cell phone and starts talking in a loud voice. "Hi, sweetheart. It's Steve. I'm on the train now." He continues, "Yes, I know it's 7:30 and not 5:30, but I had a long meeting." "No, honey, I was not with Bob from the accounting department. I was with my boss attending a meeting." "No, sweetheart, you're the only one in my life." "Yes, I'm sure, dear." 15 minutes later, he is still talking loudly. At this point, the young woman sitting next to him has had enough. She leans over and says into his phone,
"Steve, darling, hang up the phone and come back to bed."
Little Johnny gets on a bus, sits next to a man reading a book, and notices he has his collar on backwards. Johnny asks,
Hey, mister, why do you wear your collar that way?
The man, who is a priest, replies,
Because I am a father.
Little Johnny says,
My daddy doesn't wear his collar like that.
The priest looks up from his book and responds,
I am the father of many.
Johnny says,
My dad has 4 boys, 4 girls, and 2 grandchildren, and he doesn't wear his collar that way.
The priest, getting impatient, replies,
I am the father of hundreds.
then goes back to reading his book. Little Johnny sits quietly for the remainder of the trip. Upon leaving the bus, he leans over to the priest and says,
Well, maybe you should wear your pants backwards instead of your collar.
Every Sunday, the town preacher rides his bike to church. On this day, a member of the church notices that the preacher is walking. He asks, "Where's your bike?" The preacher replies,
Someone stole it. I think it may have been one of the members.
"Well," the member suggests, "for next Sunday's sermon, you should preach on the 10 Commandments. When you get to 'Thou shalt not steal,' really stress it, and you'll get your bike back." The next week, the same member of the church sees the preacher riding his bike. "I see you have your bike back. Did you do as I suggested by preaching about the 10 Commandments?"
Yes,
replies the preacher. "Did you stress 'Thou shalt not steal'?" he asks.
No, the preacher replies. When I got to 'Thou shalt not commit adultery,' I remembered where I left it.